We would like to engage you briefly for a pep talk.
Mhm.
There is a perpetual union which is often mistaken with a dynamic of bumper cars. There is an effect in your world of membranes and the effect of juggling for your situation or your position. And we would like to help you to understand that these positions and situations are in constant flux. We would like to offer that if you find yourselves in a certain perception around which you feel, as we have dropped into the conversation, a stalemate. A stalemate. And we have chosen this word for her and for you because of the proliferation of meaning, which may become useful depending on the situation in which you find yourselves. For example, you may have a person, and this need not be a significant other. This may be a mate, a friend, a patriot, someone whom you feel an allegiance, a mate, a playmate. Play is useful. Play encourages movement. But when that movement becomes stale, much like water, the movement retards and settles. And there are places for the settling, as mud in the lotus pond reveals clarity. There is place for that. And yet there is a nuance as well in the 3D, as we like to speak with her. The 3D world thrives on change. And it is your ability to rest in and with change without becoming stale, without retreating into your perceived corners. For as you have noted, Dave, there are no corners.
It feels that what you are speaking of is reflected now in our culture as sort of stalemate between
Mm.
truth and falsehood.
Mm, exactly. We have an image for you of what you call a seesaw.
Mhm.
One sees, one saw, one saws, sees. There are chronological applications as well. However, the movement is the play. If you are immovable, it is simply a bench, which has its place, which has its place. That is the time to rest and observe.
Mhm.
Rest and observe. Without judgment, how often we must underscore that point, that perception, that seesaw. If you imagine that board, and do not be bored, dear friends. That board is the fulcrum. If you imagine, we shall speak in images now of the pyramid, the source, and on top which the pinnacle, there rests a line. Do you see? Can you see? The board moves. The fulcrum is the triangle, the triangular structure, that point which suggests the epicenter of all that is.
Mhm.
That is the place of stillness. However, that takes a good deal of cultivation. And as you move out from that center place, there tends to be more energetic turbulence.
So how can a person living in these times get closer to be that fulcrum as you've described?
There is silence.
Mm,
One must be able to discern one's own thoughts. And from henceforth is the ability to discern ego from non-ego and to do so with love.
mm, mm, mm,
And acceptance.
mm. So are there spiritual practices that exist for example, meditation or something that would be best to draw us to this place?
Certainly, certainly, certainly. There is a technique which this one has learned called sacred touch,
Hmm.
which she has found particularly useful.
Mm,
And that is an awareness of where in your body emotional pain resides.
mm,
And that takes time to simply sit with pain,
mm,
perceived, imagined, fantasized, narrated, or indeed physical.
mm,
And in resting in pain, there are markers, for pain itself is a guide.
mm,
This is a noteworthy subject, for pain is painful.
mm,
Pain, the discourse of pain is rife. However, we are speaking of an individual with integrity, authenticity, the desire to know, the desire to perhaps not simply know, but to embody wellness. And in order to embody that wellness, it is important to understand what it means to not be well.
mm, mm,
And for each of you, for we are indeed speaking of humans, for each of you, this not being well takes on a very nuanced, often dramatic, perhaps not so much, but there is a great deal of talk, self-talk
mm.
involved with the narrative. And this cascades through generations. The call here, with which you all and this planet, indeed, the transubstantiation that you are responding to as a group and as individuals, is based in self awareness.
You mentioned generations. Can you
Mm.
say more, please?
Mm. There is trauma that is past. Many of your women in all parts of the world have been through profound trauma. There are psyches that incarnate as male or female, as anywhere on the spectrum of identification. gender, and these psyches are coming to terms with time. For now, time is slipping away. The present moment of apprehension, here, listen, apprehension, the subtlety there is useful to understand. Do you hear it? To apprehend is to understand, yet we can meet situations with apprehension. There is a fear lodged like a thorn in the paw of a lion. You have a myth of a young man who removed that thorn. This is your task. Many of you have thorns. And indeed, it is inculcated in your scripture, the script with which you write your histories. We have perhaps said enough.
I'd like to ask a question.
Mm,
I have physical physical problems. That is, ongoing creaks in my body.
mm,
And are these manifestations of the thorns you speak of, and
mm,
how can how can I ameliorate them?
This is a very poignant question. Mm. There is a balance, as always, but as you know, you are incarnated into carbon-based structures. Your organic makeup, we are not, but we understand your challenges, your ventures within this embodiment. And of course, as an organism, organic organism, you are subject to degradation. And we use this term without judgment. That degradation, as we have called it, is in itself a diamond, a way for you to begin to work out the interface between your consciousness and your form. Okay, does this make sense?
Yes.
So your consciousness can then be directed onto your physical form. And you can begin to, in silence, perhaps with music, perhaps with a candle, in whatever type, sort, form of environment supports your inquiry into consciousness and form. And if you are feeling pain in a specific part of your body, open onto that pain. Pick one, for it is best to approach one at a time. Your focus, your energies, the openness, the open-hearted approach that you take with that physical pain will enable your consciousness to absorb, to greet, and to meet with the cellular structure which underpins that pain sensation. Does this make sense?
Yes. Please say more if you can.
Stay with that space, that interface, the face of you meeting with the face of pain through cellular structures. That is the bloom of a lotus. That is where illumination occurs. And as you work with this pain, ask questions, gentle, guided. Become your own container, a safe place, a safe space for you to reach into the corners and to smooth those areas. Can you feel this?
Yes.
To draw out the venom, to ameliorate, is this your word? The sensations of darkness. That is what darkness is for. Darkness is a beckoning. Do not be afraid. Eve, your myth, ate the apple. She enjoyed it.
Mm,
Move with her.
mm.
Bite gently, gently, ever so gently. In her situation, as the myth recalls, there was simply phonic forces. She, as a woman, was confronted with pain, birth, every month, menstrual, pain, and women. They understand each other. And there is a need for men to understand their pain, just as women must understand theirs. If they did not, your species would halt. Your species is built on acceptance of pain. At this point, the very least your men can do is to appreciate their own pain. There is a castigation, yes. But we support all efforts with love, for the journey is endless. Bird song
Yes, it's wonderful.
is quite healing. Move with nature. Turn toward her,
Mhm.
for she has seen much. There is pain, yes, which she carries. We all carry. Share. There is no need to bear this pain alone. There are communities, ways in which ritual, an act of love, a glass of water, a ray of sunshine can speak to your heart.
So I'm getting some interesting energy, which feels quite healing.
Mm,
But I'd like to know if anybody else has a sense of something that they want to share too.
mm. And you need not speak in tongues.
Hmm.
There is a mixture of voices. As you mature, you will become more comfortable in this arena.
I'll just describe this energy that I'm feeling and just I'll just describe it. So there's sort of a circle, and it's a feminine energy of healing, and it alternates sometimes by looking at Frida Kahlo and like an image of Frida Kahlo, and sometimes a little bit more like Mary. Sometimes
Mm,
it's
mm,
inexplicable.
mm,
I can't say exactly what it is. Sometimes it's geometric, like a circle in a pyramid.
mm,
Just has that feeling of healing.
mm,
And
mm.
I'm actually going to just, I feel that it's appropriate that we, without necessarily any words, just bring her closer. If it's okay with everyone, uh, I'd like her to shed this healing on you and then just give this as a healing.
This is beautiful, Dave. This is an offering, asking for an
Thank
offering.
you.
Mm.
Hmm.
So maybe I would just say to everyone, if there are anything, is there anything right now that needs to be healed? You needn't explain it. Just, I'll give you my example. When I was thinking of the shoulder, I was thinking of the moment when the problem happened. I had an issue with my shoulder. Um, and I was kind of being self-deprecating when I was doing that. When I was in this boat, it's no need to explain it, but as you were speaking, Colin, I just noticed the image kept coming up of what was going on there. So I would invite all of you to do something like that. Whatever's there that's kind of needing to be healed. And I'm going to say needing to be understood because as you pointed out, Colin, healing implies that there's something bad about that problem in my shoulder. Saying it isn't. It's something, it's a message. So I'm just going to ask everyone to open up insofar as you feel comfortable doing so to whatever physical, psychological wants to be healed right now. And I'm going to invite her to be available if you wish. It seems like an energy we can bring in. That is, don't hesitate to let it in. Again, like a circle goes into a pyramid.
And
Also,
if I may add, or perhaps we may add, is the aspect of sacred touch.
mm,
If you take this energy, and perhaps it is a ball, circle, a sphere, and it emanates and rests on the palm of your hand. Take a moment to connect with the light of that energy. Note the tips of your fingers, the pads with which you may interface your palm with that energy and make it palpable. Perhaps you have an image of palms outstretched, of light emanating from palms. And when you are ready, check back into your body. That energy shall remain. Check back into your body while holding that energy and note the place where you feel pain. Your heart may be emotional, your neck, where perhaps you cannot speak. It may be your belly, your shoulder, as Dave mentioned. And if it is at your back, which as humans you are unable to reach, simply take the ball of energy. Once you have located the space in your body, it may be your toe, maybe your knee, wherever that space is, and go back to the energy ball in your hand and start to titrate that connection between the pain space and the ball of energy. And just allow, take your time, allow your hand to move. No thought, no particular intent. You are simply aware of the energy and the healing and your body. And allow the hand to rest in sacred touch. And when your hand connects with your body, the energy flows through your body and you feel the touch. This is your evidence that indeed this is happening and you are initiating contact. There is a much larger sphere at play here, but for now, we will simply rest in the context of your own body. Breathe into the energy. Take it in fully and with abandon. You may consider yourself drawing in the healing and exhaling any smoke, detritus. What comes in must go out. What goes up must come down. There is no blame, no judgment, simply movement. Relax your shoulders. Perhaps tilt your pelvis to hold and to enjoy. We pray this has not been an interruption.
Oh no, it has not been for me.
Not at all.
Yeah, I'm feeling completely excited and wonderful.
This is a form of an engine. Yes,
What's the engine?
yes, this curvilinear motion. We invite you to remove yourselves from the piston approach, this up-down movement, perhaps move in for a deeper understanding of the circular nature of a crank, for the circular nature of, dare we say, sustainability. There is gratitude. Never forget. And then there is gratitude for feeling gratitude. It is ad infinitum. This is the proliferation of form with regard to source, of which you can now be a part. A part. There it is again, with apprehension. But be, we say, be whole. There it is again. The dichotomies are endless. Therefore, the transcendence lies in movement. That movement may be movement of thought. It may be movement through space. It may be movement through stretch. It may be movement through breath. But it is always movement. Out with the old, in with the new. Renew. We have perhaps another technique is for the belly in your form. Your belly is important, for this is the engine, if you will, which underlies your diaphragm, which underlies your lungs. And while you may not be in conscious relation with your diaphragm, though most singers are, you can, more likely perhaps, be in conscious relation with your belly. For your hand you may place on your belly, and as your belly rises, the energy occupies that space, much like a child. There is no essential difference in these configurations. And as you feel that child, you feel yourself. The energy which you have constructed, which you have manifested, which you have brought to light. And as you place the palm over your belly, enjoy the interaction between your palm and your body, your belly palm, and play with your imagination, for this is a super power. Imagination is very real. This is a part of these times which you are so profoundly engaging with. So take that energy to heart and begin with the belly. This is a less perhaps invasive practice, for you do digest through your belly. You have tools built into your system for digesting, and your belly is perhaps a place to start. You can also at this place work with your breath, a more conscious, interactive engagement with your breath, with life, your life, and the ways in which you encounter your life. Perhaps two hands are in order. You have seen the representations on Easter Island, Göbekli Tepe. You have seen many renditions throughout your ancestral lines of hands placed on the belly for contemplation, interaction, and power. There is great strength. This is one of the reasons why these images are cast in stone. Your belly is a source for life, both men and women. And we should like to rest here.
Thank you.